Hi, Taylor Studios fans. I'm here with Danielle. We're both back. I guess it's been more than a week now from the annual Alliance of Museums conference that was held in New Orleans. We just wanted to give a quick recap of some takeaways that we learned from the conference. One is that there wasn't enough time to see everybody we wanted to see.
Sorry.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we would have loved to see so many more people and chat with more people. It was a great place. I guess 5,000 people were there. Yeah. And so what a great place to be. One of my takeaways that I find interesting, and I'm really seeing an increasing trend or awareness towards this was talked about at the keynote address, was the leaning towards more sort of business principles being applied in the museum market. And I forgot to say that, this is the largest gathering of museum professionals in the world. So having 5,000 of us in one place was it's the biggest gathering in the whole world. The American Alliance is 40,000 members strong. So it's a really big organization, having a big impact on the world. So back to the business thing, some of the themes I hear are things like financial stability, changing models for sustainability. Healthy balance sheets is everyone's responsibility. One of the concerning things is that, so that's a really important trend, but one of the concerning things she noted in the keynote is that 24% of museums are actually dipping into the reserves. So they're not doing that financial sustainability, meaning earning revenue enough to just sustain themselves by maintaining their reserves. So it's really important to have those business models so that you are sustainable. Some of the trends were competing with other nonprofits for people, obviously for people's time and for people's leisure time, and getting those visitors to your site and to get the buy-in of your community and your internal community. Funders, though, now expect you to have measurable data. And so if you want to draw those funders in versus them going to the nonprofit down the street, you're going to have to tell them from a data standpoint the impact that you're having. So measuring is a really critical key factor in sustainability and financial sustainability. The other thing I heard is that I think I said balance sheets is everybody's responsibility. Obviously, getting new income streams, sharing service models. Maybe you're combining with another nonprofit down the street and combining shared service type of things. You got to. I guess the moral of the story is this conference was in New Orleans. Obviously, New Orleans went through a catastrophic event, and they've rebuilt since then. And she talked about how they applied some of these business models to the town, and they're refreshed and revived and thriving at this point. So it's doable for everyone, but you have to be willing to adapt and change and to think a little bit more business measuring. And I just recently finished, I know this is an older book, but it's called Magnetic. It's the theme within this book too. Talk a lot about strategic planning, how no money, no mission. I'm going to write a blog on some of the takeaways that I learned from the book. Highly recommend it. It was written in the recession time period, but it shows how this business model can have you thrive even in those normal economic downturns. That was more than normal, but of course we're going to have the normal economic cycle. So that was a big surprise to me, is to be constantly hearing about business strategies, the folks reading the same books that I read, like Jim Collins' Good to Great, or reading strategic planning articles from Harvard Business Review. That's happening in the museum realm. So that's surprising to me. Is it to you? Let me know. Write me and let me know. Well, Danielle, you might have had a completely different takeaway. What did you take away?
Well, I think, Betty, when you initially talked about time was my biggest takeaway from this conference. I love going to conferences, but as we're prepping for this, thinking about having 4 or 5 days away from the office, it was like, man, how do you afford to spend that much time away from your desk? Unanswered emails, unanswered phone calls, they're going to miss me at the office, obviously, that too. But going to a conference like this, I feel like I blinked and it was over and we were on the plane heading back home.
Yeah.
And we did miss the chance to talk to several people that I'd hoped to when we were there, but with 5,000 people, I mean, how can you say hi to everybody? If you do know, let me know, because I want to figure out how to say hi to everybody. But time is a valuable resource for all of us, and how do you get your return on investment or know that the time you're putting into these conferences is worth being out of the office and everything that we're doing while
And
we're
the
there.
cost of travel and all of that too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think my biggest takeaway when I initially was going into it was how can you afford to spend this much time out of the office when in reality I'm coming back with how can you afford not to spend this time outside the office. 5,000 people under one roof that is going for the same goal. It's pretty impressive and it's inspiring. It's inspiring to come back to the office and be able to share the things that we've learned and just reconnect with people. So.
Yeah, please let us know what your takeaway was or any questions that you have. We hope this was valuable to you, and more soon. Thanks.